Hey, what's going on everybody? Paul Tech here, and welcome to my full review of the Alcatel 3V for Metro by T-Mobile. Now before I get this review started, I do want to send a big shout out to Alcatel. They did send this device over to me for review, but as always, all opinions expressed in this review are of my own, and this is my experience using the 3V for the past week. So the Alcatel 3V, when it comes to the price, it is retailing for around $189 on Metro by T-Mobile, but you can also pick this up on a port over special. So if you port your number over, you can actually pick this up for free. Let's go ahead and talk about design and build here. So on the right hand side, you got your volume rockers up on top, and then you got your power button right beneath the volume rockers, and they are positioned very nice and easy to reach. To the bottom there, a single down firing speaker. To the center, your Type-C charging port with rapid charging, and to the far left is just going to be a microphone. Now to the left hand side is going to be your tray there, which does house your SIM card. You can also put a micro SD card to expand the storage. Up on top, you are actually getting an IR blaster here, which that is a feature you don't see in a lot of smartphones anymore. 3.5mm headphone jack, and then you get a secondary microphone to the top. Let's go ahead and take a look at the back now. So you're going to get a dual camera setup, a 16 megapixel plus a secondary 5 megapixel camera. You got your LED flash, and then you also got a fingerprint sensor to the back of this. This is basically constructed out of plastic materials except for the glass display, Alcatel branding to the back there. Overall, this is a very nice looking smartphone. You're also going to get a large 4000 milliamp hour non-removable battery. And like I mentioned, this is basically constructed out of plastic material. So you got this glossy back plastic back here, which will pick up some fingerprints and oils off your skin. But this is a very large smartphone. This is probably one of the biggest smartphones that you can purchase at Metro by T-Mobile. Let's go ahead and talk about that display now. So like I mentioned, large device, large display here, 6.7 inches. It's an HD plus display. So that's going to be 720 by 1440 resolution. And even though this is a 720p resolution display, it's a very nice 720p panel. All the wallpapers look really nice. Even watching YouTube videos, movies on this, it just looks so great because it's such a big display. You get so much screen real estate with the Alcatel 3V display. Now, yes, it would have been nice if it was 1080p resolution, but since it's 720p, it is going to save in the battery department because it's pushing less pixels. Another thing that I really like about the 3V is that you get a notification LED light on the upper left-hand corner of the device. So that is fantastic. I mean, even more expensive phones don't have an LED notification light. So if you're the type of person that likes watching a lot of movies, YouTube videos, the Alcatel 3V is definitely a good option. I mean, yes, you are going to get some bezel to the top and bottom. It's not the slimmest device when it comes to the bezels, but it just gives you a place to hold the device. Also like the fact that there's no notch on this, there's no cutout to the front-facing camera, nothing distracting to the display. It's just a really nice, large 6.7-inch HD plus display. Now, all the videos I watched on YouTube at 720p, 60 frames per second, all of them ran perfectly fine, no blacking out issues whatsoever. And when it comes to outdoor visibility with the 3V, outdoor visibility is perfectly fine. The auto brightness works great. It'll just crank itself up to 100% if it needs to, and it'll bring the brightness down. So you're not going to have any issues viewing this display, this panel, outdoors in direct sunlight. Now, when it comes to the fingerprint sensor, it's a good security option that you have available, and it seems to work 100% of the time. I never had any false reads. It unlocks my 3V each and every time. Not super fast, yet not super slow either. You got facial recognition here, and facial recognition is a little bit slower than the fingerprint sensor, but it's very accurate as well, unlocking my 3V. Sometimes in low-lit environments, it might struggle a little bit to see and register your face to unlock, but nevertheless, it's a good feature. And when it comes to 4G LTE connectivity, as you can see, I got full bars, and that's pretty much how it's been for the past week. Maybe I would lose a bar, but for the most part, it was full bars, and I never lost any service. And when it comes to making phone calls, receiving them, no issues there whatsoever. You got Wi-Fi calling on board, video calling available, and callers said they heard me perfectly fine. Now, when it comes to the keyboard here, sending out text messages, picture messages, emails, everything functioned, worked 100%, nothing negative to report back to you. You got Gboard on this, so you get a lot of good features, and it's so nice just to be able to type on such a large keyboard. And you also get a little vibration motor with this keyboard, so when you are typing, you can feel that little vibration, which is pretty nice. So a good experience with the keyboard here. Now, when it comes to just using this device as, my daily smartphone, it's a big device. I mean, oftentimes you're going to have to use two hands with this. I also like the fact that to the bottom there, you can either hide the on-screen buttons or you can have them, shown on the display. So that's a really good feature you got there. Now, when it comes to what's under the hood, the processor, it is the MediaTek 6765 clocked at 2 gigahertz. It's an octa-core processor. You also got 3 gigabytes of RAM on board here. For the most part, everything that I needed the 3V to do when it comes to opening up applications, websites, web browsing, it was able to do it. I did notice sometimes it does take about a second to load up some of the applications, especially when you do have a lot of apps open in the background. You'll see that little pause and then it will start the application. So I would just definitely recommend keep the background apps down to a minimum, keep the Chrome tabs down to a minimum as well. But for the most part, all the apps that I downloaded, they downloaded perfectly fine, and I was able to run pretty much every app, no crashing whatsoever. And if you are into split screen multitasking, with the big display, it is a really nice experience. All right, moving on, let me go ahead and pull down the notification panel here, just to kind of share with you everything that you got going on, like your Wi-Fi calling, get your flashlight built into this, and then you also got your mobile hotspot. The mobile hotspot actually works really well. I did use that. And when it comes to the Wi-Fi connectivity, it was really good as well, connects to the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. No type of issues when it came to using the Wi-Fi. Now, when it comes to NFC, there's no NFC on board the Alcatel 3V, so you can't use Android Beam or Android Pay. So just kind of keep that in mind if that's something that you absolutely have to have. When it came to Bluetooth connectivity, I was able to connect my 3V to all my Bluetooth accessories, no disconnecting issues whatsoever. And then moving on to the one-handed mode here. Now, I can see this feature being extremely useful for a lot of consumers out there. Just because it's such a large device, it's often hard to reach the top of like the notification panel or top applications. So you can see it's pretty customizable as well. And then pretty much all you're going to have to do is either just double tap on the home button or just swipe across on the on-screen buttons, and then it just shrinks down the display. Really good one-handed operation here. So again, I'm glad, Alcatel did put this feature in the 3V. And moving on to internal storage. So with the Alcatel 3V, you're getting 32 gigabytes of internal storage. Now, if that's not enough for you, you can go ahead and input a micro SD card to the tray along the side there. On the website, it says up to 32 gigs. So I don't know if you can put in more, but I did put my 32 gig SD card in. And what's great about this is you can format it as internal storage or adaptable storage. So you can pretty much move your apps, photos, videos all to the SD card. And as you can see there, we are running Android 9 Pie, as well as December 1st, 2019 security patch. So basically, only time will tell how the Alcatel 3V will age when it comes to the security patch updates and the next version of Android. But I'm hoping Alcatel will continue to support this device with updates. Now, moving on to GPS. GPS is a feature I used a whole lot with the Alcatel 3V. I do a lot of driving, and it's so nice on this large display. GPS works perfect. It got me to my destination each and every time. Never lost my location. So GPS in the 3V works perfect. Another great feature that the 3V has is an IR blaster. Now, this is something that you don't see a lot on smartphones, but this used to be very common. So you can control your TV, electronic devices with the IR blaster. Moving on to the Geekbench test here. So single core score 153, multi-core score 813. For those who are interested in the Antutu benchmark test, those are the scores the Alcatel 3V did get. Now, moving on to gameplay with this device. So when it comes to casual games, Subway Surfers, Temple Run, all those type of games are going to run perfectly fine. They run smooth, no issues with any type of games like that. Now, when you go to your more graphic intense games, more demanding games, say for instance like Call of Duty, I was able to play this game on low graphic settings, and it did run surprisingly good. I did see a little bit of drops in frames here and there, but nothing that's going to hinder your gaming experience. So just know that if you are going to play more graphic intense games, you're probably going to have to play it on medium to low graphic settings, and you might see the occasional lag or a possible drop in frame. Now when it comes to the audio that's coming from the 3V, you're actually getting stereo speakers. So a single down-firing speaker, and then the earpiece is the secondary speaker. So you got audio coming from the bottom and coming from the top. And it actually sounds really good. It sounds clear. I will say it doesn't get like super loud, but it definitely gets loud enough. It definitely gets the job done. So I love the fact that Alcatel did throw in stereo speakers here, you know, considering they could have just went with a single down-firing speaker and just called it a day. Here's some sample music coming from the Alcatel 3V. When it comes to plugging in a set of headphones, all the headphones I plugged in pretty much sounded good on the Alcatel 3V. So you're going to get some good audio output coming from that 3.5mm headphone jack. Very nice. And moving on to the cameras now. So again, a dual camera setup to the back, a 60 megapixel plus a secondary 5 megapixel camera. And they're going to get a 8 megapixel front-facing camera. Now I took a lot of photos, a lot of videos. I really put this device through the pace. And I got to say, I was pleased with the camera performance, especially when it comes to taking photos. You got your flash option up on top. You got timer on board, as you can see there, HDR. Then you also have the option of switching up the aspect ratio. But I will say the best type of images that you are going to capture is going to be in well-lit situations, outdoors like I am, low-lit conditions, things can get a little grainy, so just kind of keep that in mind. You also got the portrait mode on board, which works pretty decent. I mean, if you like to take portrait modes where you have the subject in focus and the blurred background, hey, you can definitely do so. And then you also got this other feature here packed in, which is called AR emoji. So as you can see, you can choose between these 5 different characters, and you can record short videos. You can switch up the background a little bit. So, you know, if you're interested in, you know, making videos like these, you could definitely do so on the Alcatel 3V. Now, it also has some additional features here like filter, manual control, light trace. So you are getting a lot packed into the 3V here. Now when it comes to video recording, highest resolution is going to be at 1080p 30 frames per second. You also got EIS on board, which is electronic image stabilization, which should help with smoother frame rates. Video recording to me was just about average, but this is kind of a similar story with a lot of these devices in the same price range. They can take excellent photos. It suffers in low light, and video recording is just about average. But here are some sample photos shot on the Alcatel 3V. Moving on to battery life on the Alcatel 3V. Battery life is fantastic. This device can go several days off a single charge. I mean, depending on your use, you'll average between 7 to 10 hours of screen on time. That's what I was averaging, and this device lasted me for a good 2 days. So you'll probably get way better battery life than I did because I was really testing out this smartphone on high brightness, no power saving mode. And when it comes to charging up the 3V, you're getting rapid charging on board here. So it's not going to take very long to charge up this device. And even if you need to top it off, it'll last for hours after that. So that's pretty much it for my full review of the Alcatel 3V. You know, this was my experience using this device for the past week. Hopefully this video does help you out. And I think this is a good option. I really do like the Alcatel 3V. I love the big display. That battery life is just amazing. And the performance is good as well. Decent audio quality, and the option to get this for free at a port over special is just kind of icing on the cake if you decide to go with this device. But I think it is a good option, but there are a lot of good options out there, so definitely, you know, shop around, watch the other reviews. But I really do like the Alcatel 3V. I also got some cases coming in for this device, so definitely stay tuned, subscribe to the channel so you can see the different cases I got for the 3V. But that's pretty much it. If you enjoyed this review, please hit that thumbs up button, and please subscribe to the channel for more future videos. This is Paul Tech, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Bye.